June 23rd, 2017, the eve of Isaiah Martin's 19th birthday. He and his mother, Salitha Saucier, were sitting on the front porch of their Virginia Beach home when they noticed a car slowly approaching. In an instant, gunfire rang out, and the two ran for cover. She escaped with her life, but now lives with the heavy burden of witnessing her son's murder. Saucier says her son was targeted by someone who lives in the neighborhood, but nearly 5 years later, no one has been held accountable. Family, along with the Virginia Beach Police Department, hope that someone with information will come forward to help solve this case. But until someone does, this is Unsolved, the Isaiah Martin story.
This conversation haunts me every night. He said, "Mom, them boys not gonna let me make it out of Virginia." He said, "They gonna kill me." And before I know it, they made that loop, that window went down, and they just started shooting. And my son fell, and he said, "Mom, I've been hit."
I heard my mom screaming. I ran outside, and it was my brother. It was Isaiah.
I believe the detectives identified the correct person. The evidence and statements from the scene indicated that we had identified the correct person, and charges were screened with the Commonwealth, and they reviewed our evidence and approved the charges as well. However, the Commonwealth attorney null-prossed the charge, which means it could be brought back at a later date.
So when you expect for the law to come and do their job and they don't come and do their job, all the smiles go out of the window.
I'm hurt and I'm angry every day. I mean, they don't know the effects that it has on me, you know, just to witness this. And then to know that they just basically getting away with it.
But it's been 5 years. So it's either the state, the judges, it doesn't matter which person or people that I label or come to, something has to be done.
I don't sleep. I don't know. I'm so exhausted because it's like you on a ride that you just can't get off.
I just want justice for my brother.
When we come back, Isaiah's brother will tell us about the bond the two had over basketball and how his brother's name will live on. Isaiah Martin was a young father who was killed a day before his 19th birthday. His brother Deontay says there was nothing his brother loved more than being a father to his daughter Bella. Although his brother's life was cut short, Deontay will not let him be forgotten.
It's so much joy, you have no clue. Imagine having the Grinch, but it's slick to the point where there's nothing that he's ever done that you'll be able to call back and be mad at him forever. When I tell you, it was kind of like having a Kobe by your side 24/7. Like a person that will just not let you let down with nothing. It doesn't matter whether if you're going against your head and yourself, or you're going against a million people, he's right there, right next to me. I mean, that was my one. That was my brother. He was literally taller than me, and he was my younger brother. Do you know how many people dreamed of that, having a younger brother? He's gonna know everything because he watched you do it. So when he grow up, he doesn't have to do the wrong things. He always wanted to play basketball, and that was why me and him always decided to go back and forth with each other. He's like, one day I'm gonna beat you, and when I beat you, you're gonna have to shut up. And that one day came where he did. He beat me, and he dunked on me. When you give him all of that motive to the point where he knows for a fact, one moment, he's gonna take you out, and you're the oldest brother, you have no option but to let it go. You gave him everything. There's nothing more you can do as an older brother. You've done your job.
I was a nervous wreck, to be honest, when they first told me that I was gonna be a grandmother. I mean, I was sad, but then I was happy, and then I was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? But to see him transform from being that, childish little boy that wanted to do what he wanted to do to being a man, it made me proud.
I tell you, he lit up for joy. I've never seen a person that just started going and going and he would not stop. Like, I think it was like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, and he would still be upholding her. I'm like, dude, can you just let her breathe, man? Let her breathe.
He was excited to be a dad, and when he became a dad, that's all he knew.
He would not let her down. But when I tell you he lit up, and he picked up Sierra and he ran outside. They was outside screaming together, looking at the pictures and the photos of the ultrasound. They just lit up, and to me, seeing that joy, to me, seeing him get out and be a different type of person, and knowing that he has to become a father, and seeing that's a real joy.
He went from being this immature kid who was just wanting to be with his friends and do what he wanted to do to, I have a responsibility now. He was changing to be what he felt like a dad's supposed to be to their daughter. This is my everything, and I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that she has what she needs. He was definitely robbed of, a lot of first and the future with her. I feel my husband and I, we feel a lot of the shoes that I know that if he was here, he would be doing with her. And it gets emotional, it gets hard. When he was first killed, we would show her pictures and videos, and we still do. But now we started to integrate more conversation with her about how he was, what type of person he really wanted to be, and the things that he was doing to be that person because of her, really, because she really changed his whole outlook on life.
To see a female version of him, oh my God, it's heartbreaking just because he's not here. Somebody just came away and they took him. And now I'm sitting here wondering when every day of my life, what moment am I either gonna get taken away by my own kind or, someone else.
The conflict started when one of the individuals that he was hanging with at the time, they got into some kind of trouble.
Here we go. This is the moment that I see, that I relive every day.
And we just went outside to sit on the front porch like we usually do. And I see this blue car is just going slow. And before I know it, they made that loop, that window went down, and they just started shooting.
And I heard my mom screaming. I ran outside. And it was my brother. It was Isaiah.
After the break, Salitha relives the day that changed her life forever. Plus, she reveals the harrowing conversation she had with Isaiah moments before he was killed. Salitha Saucier relives the day her son was killed every night before she goes to sleep. As a witness, she thinks she knows who killed her son, but 5 years later, she still searches for justice.
The conflict started when one of the individuals that he was hanging with at the time, they got into some kind of trouble. My son and this young man, they were at a hotel. I guess it was supposed to be a party or something going on. One of the officers called me, and he told me that he had my son over at the hotel. They seen the guy give my son the package to hold. My son kept saying, I don't want to do it. So when the cops got there, they put the gentleman in the other vehicle. He said, I'm going to take him downtown, but you take your son home. And we're having a conversation back and forth about what transpired and to get him out of town. And this person is bad. Little did I know, a few feet away, this young man was in the back of this vehicle and probably could hear our whole conversation. Well, he wanted Isaiah to say that he was responsible for something. And my son was just like, I'm not going to do that because they're going to throw me away. He was trying to ease away from the situation without it becoming more than what it was. And they was just harassing him. My son cut grass. He had his own lawn service. Whenever they would see my son out working, they would hurry up and stop and harass him, and my son would call me and I would have to come get him. I had screenshots of conversations between me and him, with him saying, Mom, I just seen them, they're following me. All these messages and all these things that led up to my son's death was reported to the police. We tried to get help from the proper authorities, and it didn't work out in our favor. He called me and he said, Mom, they're here. You got to come get me. And I said, where are you? He said, I'm at Miss So-and-so house. I jumped in my car. I went over there. By the time I got over there, they were gone. I'm a carrier. So when I go out, I carry my weapon with me. When we got home, I put my weapon up. But he still had his on him. And we just went outside to sit on the front porch like we usually do. And this conversation haunts me every night. He said, Mom, them boys not gonna let me make it out of Virginia. I said, what? I said, don't say that. He said, they're gonna kill me. Within minutes, he turns and he looks and he said, oh my God, that's them. I find him in my chair and he's sitting in the front. And I said, what? And he said, that's them. And I see this blue car. It's just going slow. And I'm like, oh my God, I jumped up. I said, come on, Isaiah, we gotta go. We gotta go inside. And before I know it, they made that loop, that window went down and they just started shooting it. And I didn't move fast enough. And my son fell and he said, Mom, I've been hit. That is just a pain that a mother should never have to experience, to see their child be murdered like that.
I heard my mom screaming. I ran outside, and it was my brother. It was Isaiah, and I had no option but to go into survival mode. And I was screaming at everybody, give me alcohol, give me water, give me towels. And I was down there doing CPR. He was talking to me. And he looked me in my eyes. I told him, I said, if you can hear me, squeeze my hand. If you can hear me, if you can see me, blink your eye. He was blinking his eyes and everything. He just couldn't breathe.
I just told my son that I love him, that he needed to stay and fight. And I knew he was slipping away. And me and my son, we tried everything we could to save him.
It was a kind of a cul-de-sac in a residential neighborhood. The scene was pretty much on the front of a house and in the street. There were multiple eyewitnesses involved in this scene, from the victim's family to other people connected to the suspects in the case. Witnesses are the greatest thing, and they are the greatest challenge. A lot of the initial investigation is based on what they say. However, to make an effective arrest and prosecution, what a witness says needs to be confirmed with physical evidence. It moved very quickly that day. We located vehicles involved, people involved, shortly after the shooting itself.
We had every right to carry a weapon because we're on our house. We're at our house. And nothing was illegal about it.
The case is considered solved because we did make an arrest. I believe the detectives identified the correct person. The evidence and the statements from the scene indicated that we had identified the correct person, and charges were screened with the Commonwealth, and they reviewed our evidence and approved the charges as well. However, the Commonwealth attorney null-prossed the charge, which means it could be brought back at a later date if additional evidence or witnesses come forward that we could use to reassess whether it's a prosecutable case or not.
When he said that he did it in self-defense. I told the DA, I said, y'all really not gonna prosecute him because y'all saying that he said it was self-defense, saying that my son pulled a gun on him? It was like they tried to turn everything on my son and on me, like it was our fault. And I'm just like, no, that's not how this happens.
Any loss of life is tragic. Any shooting or act of violence is terrible. I think it impacts myself and the detectives very personally, and they become invested in every case that they work and do their absolute best to bring justice to the victim and ensure that the appropriate accused person is charged.
I'm upset. I'm hurt and I'm angry every day. And then to know that they just basically getting away with it.
When we come back, Deonte tells us why he will never quit when it comes to finding justice for his brother.
It's been 5 years. Something has to be done.
It was like no one was trying to advocate for him as he was a victim. It was like he did something wrong and he needed to be punished. They didn't feel like he was a victim. They didn't take all the necessary precautions to even protect my son when I told them what was going on.
How are you gonna go from having all of the people, having everything in front of your face, you know the evidence, you have the people, you have the names, but to do nothing with them and shuffle them like cards? How can somebody sit there and say that they don't know how to solve a case when the case is literally in your face? Everything is literally all there, all the facts are there. It does create a certain type of barrier because we all lost a part. We all did, and it wasn't just me. My brother does deserve justice under his name, and I don't care if I have to be the one that go out there and step it and does it by foot, by face, by hand, it doesn't matter. I will speak to any person, any judge, it doesn't matter. Murdered in broad daylight. I'm gonna tell them straight up in their face that that's wrong, it's wrong. I just want justice for my brother. I really want to see those people locked up.
I think about, they could have killed him on the street and I wouldn't have had those last moments, but I was there. I got to tell him that I love him, that I was going to take care of his daughter. I don't sleep. I don't know. I'm so exhausted because, when you lay down, when you finally say that you're going to go and you're going to rest and you close your eyes and then you see and you start to dream the same dream every night. It's like you're on a ride that you just can't get off. That's been the ride for me for the last 4.5, 5 years. And I still want justice for my son. And I'm going to keep fighting. Personally, they're not going to do anything. He's just going to be another case that goes cold.
If you have information that could help solve this case, send us a tip through the P3 Tips app or call the crime line at 1-888-LOCK-YOU-UP. Or if you have a story you would like us to investigate, email investigates@wavy.com. I'm Tom Shad. Good night.